All right, good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Great to be here with you this morning. I am streaming live once again. It's Thursday, March 26th, and I am coming to you live straight out of my kitchen this morning here in Kennesaw, Georgia, which is just right outside Atlanta if you've ever been to the area. And it's great to be here with you this morning. And we've been doing this now, I think we've been doing this now for this may be our seventh or eighth day. And so thrilled to be here with you. I see Kyle Dixon coming at me strong from Orlando, Florida this morning. What's up, Kyle? Typically what we do in these moments is I like to wait a minute or two just to get everybody a chance to get on, and I know some people are in different time zones, so they see these videos later. And anyhow, gotta love my man Kyle. Nikki Rowland, hi, good morning. I see you. Hope you and David are doing well. And here's what I want you guys to do. If you've got a second, tell me something you're doing today that is not work related. I don't know about you, but I have been, just buried with trying to reinvent, my job digitally speaking as a minister. And so there's been so much gone into infrastructure building and rebuilding. And so I'm curious what you're doing today. My wife Amy and we've got a backyard with a bunch of wood in it, and so we're going to be burning. We're going to be burning firewood today.
Weird.
It sounded weird. Sorry. We have a lot of fallen trees.
A lot of wood in our yard.
We have a lot of fallen trees in our backyard. We kind of have a larger backyard, and so we're going to be cutting firewood today. And if you know my wife Amy, this is like the greatest therapy for her is burning stuff and just getting it done. I want to hear what you guys are doing. And while you type it out, I'm going to be turning to our passage this morning. We're talking about hope today, which is pretty much what we've been talking about for the past 7 days or more. Debbie Wood, I see you. Good morning. I see Derek Roberts. Come on, Orlando, repping hard today. I love it. Good to see you guys. Turn to, Hebrews chapter 6 this morning. We're talking about hope, but we're not talking about it from the cultural standpoint of hope. I don't know if you've got kids and you're watching, sometimes your kids will say, I hope I get something, for Christmas, or I hope this. And what I'm not talking about this optimistic desire, right? Which is many ways this is how we kind of frame hope, culturally speaking. But when we talk about faith and we talk about Jesus, we're talking about an optimistic assurance, right? There's a difference between desire and assurance. And today we're talking literally about this assurance that we have in Jesus Christ. Now we're going to get a little bit deeper today. So hang with me. I'm reading a verse out of Hebrews, and if you've ever read Hebrews, it can get into some pretty deep theology here for a minute. But just bear with me. I think it's going to be great and help you this morning, be an encouragement to you. Hebrews chapter 6, verse 13 and verse through 19. So here we go. When God made his promise to Abraham, since there was no one greater for him to swear by, he swore by himself, saying, I will surely bless you and give you many descendants. We're going to stop right there. I don't know if you remember as a kid, if you ever, with like your friends and you kind of did the pinky promise deal, or, somebody didn't believe what you were saying. And so to up the ante, you would say, I swear to God, right? Now, I would get in trouble for that if my parents ever heard me say that. But, you still, when you're away with your friends, this was how you'd increase the legitimacy of what you were saying, right? Well, already right out of the gate, what we're hearing here is that God has no one greater than himself to swear by. It's not possible. He's too great. He's too infinite. He's too powerful. And so when he promises to Abraham, he promises according to himself. This is what he says, I will surely bless you and give you many descendants. And so after waiting patiently, Abraham received what was promised. People swear by someone greater than themselves, and the oath confirms what is said and puts an end to all argument. Because God wanted to make the unchanging nature of his purpose very clear to the heirs of what was promised, he confirmed it with an oath. God did this so that by two unchangeable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have, missed my verse here. We who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged. Let me read that one more time. God did this so that by two unchangeable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. Right there, it's one of my favorite verses in the whole Bible. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. Now, there's a lot happening in this verse. There's a lot of theology here. There's even some Old Testament reference. And this is what's going to help us out this morning. What we need right now is hope. And let me just even begin this morning by just reminding you, we're going to get through this. I know things might be really hard for you right now. You may be watching now, you may be watching later, and literally just hearing those words is bringing, emotion, to, you may be fighting back tears. We got a message last night about someone whose dad had a heart attack, but because of the nature of the quarantining, etc., they can't get to their dad right now. So it's a heartbreaking situation and scenario. We're going to get through this. There is hope in Jesus. Even though your situation may look bleak, or it may look dire, or it may look dark outside, right? There is hope for you. We who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul. What is the writer of Hebrews talking about here? This is a reference to the Old Testament, in that people who were in difficult times or in times of trouble, they would have cities of refuge set up for them. And so they could literally flee to those places. And it's in those places they could find safety, they could find refuge, they could find food, they could literally find rest for their soul. And so it's important for you and I to understand a few things. If we're going to understand Jesus in the same way that we had a refuge in the Old Testament where people could go and find peace, Jesus is now that city of refuge in which we go to find peace. If you need peace this morning, you have a refuge, and that refuge is Jesus Christ. And here's what it means for us today. Here's a couple similarities that we see in the Old Testament with a city of refuge and with Jesus himself. Jesus and the cities of refuge are open to all, not just the Israelite. No one who comes to the place of refuge is turned away in time of need. That's great news for you today. There's nothing that you can do that somehow has put you out of the refuge of God, of finding hope in Jesus. Both Jesus and the cities of refuge were places to live. In time of need, one never came to a just to look around. A refuge isn't a spectator sport. It's a place that you go to when you have need, but also it was where they would camp out and where they would live, right? This was a new place, a new living, a new identity took place here in the city of refuge. Both Jesus and the cities of refuge are the only alternative for the one in need. Without this refuge, destruction was certain in the Old Testament. And in the New Testament, the great news is that Jesus is offering himself to us as our great and holy refuge. But also understand, outside of that, there really isn't any peace. Money right now, it's interesting because some of the wealthiest people right now, or formerly wealthy, are some of the most stressed out right now because they've been losing everything. Money, it is showing, hasn't been able to purchase anyone true eternal peace. Hasn't been able to do it. Job security hasn't been able to achieve anyone true peace. Only Jesus can do that. Only Jesus can provide it. Anything outside of it is just doomed to fail. And then lastly, one of the great distinctions between Jesus and the city of refuge, which I love this morning, is that cities of refuge in the Old Testament were really only designed to help the innocent. But Jesus has come to help the guilty, those who are dead in their sin this morning. Well, that's me. And if you're watching, that's you. And if you're watching later today on Facebook or later on YouTube, that's also you. Jesus came to offer refuge not just for those who had it all together, which, by the way, is nobody, but for those who don't. He came for those who need the doctor, those who are sick. That's who Jesus came for. That includes all of us. And that is our great hope today. Jesus Christ came, and Jesus Christ lived the life that I should have lived. He died the death that you and I deserve to die because of our sin, but he rose again on the third day after bearing our sin on the cross. He literally took your sin and mine on the cross. He died at the death we deserve, but he rose again victorious on the third day, victorious over sin and death. And he is now the one who has the authority to give you and I peace. Peace and refuge and comfort for the weary soul is found in Jesus. Why? Because he's the only one who has the true power and authority to provide it. And that is great news. And because Jesus has done that for me eternally, right? He's done it for you as well. How much more can he move in my situation at hand? How much more can he move with family members right now? With places that you're afraid or discouraged, your job situation, your financial situation, you're going to make it and you're going to be okay, ultimately because Jesus Christ is our great hope and anchor for the soul. Even if something dire were to happen for you, heaven forbid, ultimately you're going to be okay because Jesus Christ has offered eternal life to those who believe. That's great news. This isn't the end. Your latter days are greater than your former days. There's hope for you today, and it is the anchor of your soul. That's my encouragement for you today. Ultimately, that's the Bible's encouragement for you today. I hope you all are doing well. Hope you're staying safe. We're in this together. Sure do love you. Praying for you. Go do something fun, either in your house or in your yard today. If you're like us, as I mentioned earlier, we are later this afternoon. We're going to get some of the trees that have fallen down over the past 6 months due to storms and rain. We're cutting those things up, and we are burning stuff in the backyard for a little fun. It's going to be some good therapy for our soul as well. Anyhow, love you. Have a great Thursday. Talk soon.